cabal, the bad guys, they know that President Trump, the Q team, and the white hats, they have it all. They have all the evidence that proves that these people have been involved in horrific crimes, crimes against children, and treason. Evidence, photographic and video evidence of them directly involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of kids.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This one is brought to you in part by our friends at Rugged Reserves. After a car crash, every second counts. So why not have the Patriot Charger on hand just in case you need a seatbelt cutter or glass breaker to get out of the vehicle. The Patriot Charger also has a built-in red emergency beacon for those nighttime emergencies, and of course, it will charge your phone, so it will always be nearby. It even has a built-in power bank in case your battery's dead. So get it for Christmas. Supplies are running out. And use coupon code SGT10 to save 10% off your entire order. I'll leave the link below this must-hear interview. Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in. I got to tell you, this is a timely interview. Liz and I were scheduled to talk today, and now we have the prop bomber arrested.
Magabomber, come on. You know, Sean, it's the Magabomber.
It's absolutely absurd. It's central casting, the perfect white van. Never trust a man in a creepy white van, Liz. How are you? Welcome back.
I'm good. I'm good. I had a little surfing accident that I'm sure you heard about. So dealing with partly missing fingers, but aside from that, I'm still alive and good.
Well, you look great. You look great. And I'm sorry that happened to you. And, you know, everybody's heart went out to you when that happened. And what a crazy, crazy thing to have happened. I know that the string there got tangled around your fingers, and that's what severed them. And we're rooting for you. We love you,
I have
Liz.
good care, and I will find a way to get my fingers back because, you know, I love talking with my hands, and I miss my nails and getting manicures on 10 fingers. So it'll happen. I'm good. But
all right.
Painful. I won't lie. Don't recommend getting your fingers severed.
No, I wouldn't recommend that either. And I wouldn't recommend playing ball with the deep state. It looks to me like this guy, Caesar Sayok, Psyop, this guy is handled. There's no doubt about it. As I said in my recent video here about the October surprise, however this thing turns out, it's a false flag. And like so many other bombers, quote unquote bombers, we will probably find out that this guy was handled by one of the alphabet agencies like has happened so many times in the past. Here's a New York Times article, terrorist plots hatched by the FBI. The U.S. has been narrowly saved from lethal terrorist plots in recent years, or so it has seemed. A would-be suicide bomber was intercepted on his way to the Capitol. A scheme to bomb synagogues and shoot Stinger missiles at military aircraft was developed by men in Newburgh, New York, and a fanciful idea to fly explosive-laden model planes into the Pentagon and the Capitol was hatched in Massachusetts. But all of these dramas were facilitated by the FBI, whose undercover agents and informers posed as terrorists, offering a dummy missile, fake C4 explosives, a disarmed suicide vest, and rudimentary training. Suspects naively played their parts until they were arrested. I have surmised that if they arrested somebody and said he was a Trump supporter, it would probably be an 80 IQ patsy. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what this looks to be.
I'm looking at my phone, and guess what just broke? He's a registered Democrat.
Yeah, I saw Jordan Sather tweet that out. And now that's been apparently scrubbed from the record.
Oh, yeah.
It's just beyond the pale.
Because I just retweeted it. So there's evidence that all these guys are Democrats. All the patsies are registered Democrats, but they try to make them appear to be Trump supporters. Hence the van that's covered with, you know, pro-Trump, GOP. And I heard there was even an 8chan sticker on the van, on his white van. I mean, who I've never even heard of an 8chan bumper sticker. Have you? I mean, it's just so over the top. And
no, and apparently it's a wrap. We really need to figure out when was the wrap created, who created it, and who put it on there. And evidently his Twitter feed only goes back to 2016 when Trump was elected. And here's the punchline to the story. I mean, this is unbelievable. I should have guessed that this would be the case when I made my latest video about this. He was arrested in Broward County. Is that not Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district? And Sheriff Israel is involved in this. I mean, this whole thing is absurd, but it's exactly what the mainstream media needs. And it'll appear probably in the advertising, the anti-Trump advertising, running up to the November elections.
Well, honestly, Sean, to be completely honest with you, their false flags are getting so sloppy, The narratives are falling apart. I mean, I'm on Twitter and I'm reading all these people who are saying, wow, even my liberal friends are saying it's obvious that this is a false flag. And their false flags are just, they're getting so poorly orchestrated and executed that part of me wonders if this is a white hat operation. There was an anon that theorized that this is a white hat operation to get the National Guard and the military in the major cities to not raise too many red flags and not to cause too much chaos and too much concern, to prepare people for the mass arrest. I mean, if this truly is a deep state false flag, it is so poorly done. You know, I know Q says these people are stupid, but it's so hard for me to believe that they're that stupid. These bombs didn't even go through the postal system, and they didn't have the postage stamps on them, and they were apprehending bombs that hadn't even been shipped yet. But how did they even know that these bombs had been sent? I mean, the whole narrative is falling apart before it even started. And part of me just can't believe that these people are that stupid.
Well, I totally agree. But the thing is that their playbook is worn out. Like in Joe Messapos, the guy who made that great video, Q, the plan to save the world, he just responded to Jordan Sather's tweet, right?
Yeah,
I just saw that. And Joe says, don't forget that we saw the evidence he was a registered Democrat. Right. Now they've changed it. More playbook. They get their own people, spend months building a fake profile, and then activate them at the right time. This whole thing is badly staged. And that's the bottom line. This is kabuki theater. This is just puppetry. It's theater. It's
so their playbook, but it's just mind-boggling to me that they literally do the same false flags over and over again. They're so predictable. You know, create a false flag, blame it on a Trump supporter, blame it on the Trump movement, blame it on QAnon. I mean, they were blaming this on Trump and QAnon supporters before we even had a suspect. And, you know, it's their playbook is so obvious. To me, it's mind-boggling that they can't come up with something better at this point, you know?
Yeah, and you tweeted out, it's a joke. It looks like a movie prop. It's possibly to create sympathy for them. And that's a quote from retired FBI agent Danny Coulson. You are watching a movie, folks.
That one.
CSI is unwatchable to me. The whole thing is always so contrived. And that's my point here. This is one of these contrived, like this couldn't be more contrived and more perfect, right? No, it's just the lone nut Trump supporting bomber who just happens to be a registered Democrat.
Right. And so what's interesting too is that all the people that have been targeted in this, and you know that my specialty, my area of expertise is exposing child sex trafficking, elite pedophile networks, aka Pizzagate, Pedogate. All of the people that have been targeted are tied to child sex trafficking. Hillary Clinton, Obama, and right as we were signing on tonight, it just broke that Tom Steyer just received a bomb, an alleged bomb, a fake bomb. Now, Steyer, I want to remind your followers, he was in the Podesta emails talking about walnut sauce. Walnut sauce is a code for pedophilia. So it is no surprise to me that the biggest criminals who are tied to treason and to child sex trafficking are all targeted. So if this indeed is a deep state false flag, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to garner sympathy for these criminals who have been involved in the most horrific crimes against children. The rape, the torture, and the trafficking and the murder of these kids, you know, harvesting their organs, taking their blood, terrorizing them for adrenochrome, you know, trafficking them from countries like Haiti through our border. They're trying to garner sympathy for these people before the mass arrest because they know the hammer is about to drop. And the good news about this false flag is that this is a really good sign that they are cornered, they're screwed, and the mass arrests are coming very soon.
Well, I think you're right, and here's why I think you're right. This is so ham-handed, and that's the point I made in my video, October Surprise. It's ham-handed because the very same people, the names that you've been naming and I've been naming for months now, for years, are the same people that ought to be receiving indictments. They are the globalist criminals. The very same names, Obama, Clinton,
Yep.
Maxine Waters, George Soros.
Tom Steyer, was Brennan, did Brennan receive one?
Yeah, that's right. Brennan, the only people not on the list were the Podesta brothers. And,
I know. I tweeted last night. I'm like, why didn't John Podesta receive a fake bomb?
And these are the people that should be arrested and tried for their crimes in a military court and sent to Gitmo. These are the hardcore seditious traitors. Literally, these are the names we've been naming. And so you're right. I think it's to garner sympathy, or it's to sort of telegraph and put into the minds of the people that these people were already unfairly targeted by some Trump apparatus, so that when the long arm of the law and justice is served on them, they somehow have sympathy and can spin it.
Skepticism that they are involved with these horrific crimes against children and treason against this country. They're trying to condition the masses to not believe the reality of the horrific crimes that they have committed. And they're also doing that by coming out with articles in the mainstream media claiming that, you know, videos can be altered, watch out for fake videos, because the cabal, the bad guys, they know that President Trump, the Q team, and the White Hats, they have it all. They have all the evidence that proves that these people have been involved in horrific crimes, crimes against children, and treason. Evidence, photographic and video evidence of them directly involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of kids. They know that. So they have been conditioning the public for literally a year now. Starting a year ago, they started coming out with articles stating that, you know, videos can be altered. And they even, in one of the articles that came out in the mainstream media, they actually used Obama, a video of Obama, as an example of a video that can be altered. So they're trying to precondition the sheep to think and prepare for when these mass arrests happen that, oh, it's not true. It's fake. You know, Trump is a dictator and he's making this up. You know, that's what they're trying to do with this false flag and, you know, discussing these alleged fake videos, but it's not going to work.
I want to just piggyback on that with a thought. I just saw a clip of President Trump being asked about Bill Clinton. Now, I'm not sure if this is before he was president or when he was running to be president. And he was asked, what do you think of Bill Clinton? And Trump said, nice guy, but I think he's got a lot of problems with this island, this Epstein Island, and his friend Epstein. And boy, you guys don't think that Trump is a truth teller? You don't think Trump is ready to target these people and take them down? He's the same candidate who told Hillary during one of the debates, because you'd be in jail, we're going to assign a special prosecutor to look into you and what you've been up to, Hillary and Bill. And now these people are scared to death. How about the video surveillance that they might have from Epstein Island of what was going on in those tunnels?
They do. And, you know, I know exactly what you're talking about in reference to Donald Trump saying that he thinks that former President Bill Clinton is going to have a problem with Jeff Epstein's islands. That was many years ago. I think that may have been back in 2012 or 2011. And that was at a CPAC conference. President Trump, I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that one of the main reasons why President Trump ran for office is because he knew about the child sex trafficking. He knew what they were doing to these kids. And I believe that that is one of the main reasons why he ran for office, because he was so horrified at what they were doing to these children that is why he ran, so he could expose these people, throw them in jail, and save these kids. Most people don't know because the mainstream media won't cover it. One of the first things he did when he got into office was to address child sex trafficking. That was within the first 2 weeks of him being sworn in as President of the United States. So that has been his top priority. And I talk about it every single day, but the mainstream media won't talk about it because people in the mainstream media are not only involved in child sex trafficking, they're involved in covering it up.
That's right. And that gets us into the whole area of Pizzagate and Petagate and what was going on at Comet Ping Pong and the whole investigation into the child sex trafficking. And anybody that thinks that that's all been debunked because CNN says so must not realize that Andrew Breitbart tweeted in February of 2011 that John Podesta is a world-class underage sex slave op cover-upper defending unspeakable drugs. Underage sex slave op cover-upper, folks, means pedophile sex slave cover-upper. It's child trafficking.
And child trafficker. And what the good news is that the masses, the people, they're finally starting to wake up to the antics of the fake news. And that mostly, we have President Trump. to thank for that, because he has been relentlessly exposing the fake news and how fake they are. And you and I know that the majority of the people in the mainstream media are CIA operatives, and they work for the deep state. And some people in the mainstream media work for the deep state, and they don't even know they work for the deep state, but the people at the higher levels sure know, and the people that own the companies know. And the good news is that people are starting to catch on to the fake news, and they're learning how to decipher the fake news, because they use the same tactics for every story that's true that comes out that they don't want to come out, that they don't want to be exposed. So, for example, when the first bomb came out this week, which was sent to allegedly, George Soros's house, and I say allegedly because I don't believe it was a real bomb. It was fake, and I'm pretty sure you believe the same thing. But when that bomb was first, delivered to George Soros's house, the first round of articles that came out, they all said Trump supporters are claiming this is a false flag with no evidence. Trump supporters are claiming that George Soros is behind, the mass immigration caravan with no evidence. Trump supporters are claiming this conspiracy theory about George Soros and this conspiracy theory about George Soros. Well, actually, there's a ton of evidence that George Soros is behind the caravan. There's a ton of evidence that George Soros is behind the refugee crisis, many refugee crises, and the mass migrations to multiple countries, not just our own, but countries in Europe. He actually wrote an op-ed talking about how he spent hundreds of millions of dollars on refugees. All right, this is all, George Soros is behind a lot of, the mass migration and the refugee crisis, and they're fake. They're all staged invasions to bring in Democratic voters, to grab the women and the children, to traffic the kids. And so when the first bomb came out earlier this week, the entire mainstream media was saying, all the Trump supporters are claiming that George Soros is behind the caravan, but it's just a conspiracy theory, and there's no evidence of it. Well, there is evidence of it, and they did the same thing with Pizzagate. When Pizzagate came out, the entire mainstream media said, Pizzagate is fake news. There's no evidence to prove that there's child sex trafficking tied to Hillary Clinton and Comet Ping Pong. Lie. There's tons of evidence. I could sit here all day and present just pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of evidence that, yes, there is child sex trafficking going on involved with Comet Ping Pong, James Alefantis, Hillary Clinton, Haiti, Jeffrey Epstein, George Soros. I could go on all day. What the mainstream media does is when a truth gets out, they immediately say that's a conspiracy theory and there's no evidence. And as soon as the first bomb popped up earlier this week at George Soros's house, what did they say? They said just that. Conspiracy theory, no evidence to support, that this was a false flag. The story had just came out. How could they even say that there's no evidence to support it's a false flag? We didn't even know anything yet, and they all come out at the same time. These fake news stories.
Yeah, it's coordinated Mockingbird mainstream media. It's all part of the deep state. The Mockingbird mainstream media is part of the deep state. And I think we need to come up with a better term than the deep state, because it's so much more dastardly than that. Yeah. It's so much more despicable and dark than just deep state. It is the Civil War arm of the globalists that oppose our freedom and our sovereignty and our sitting president. And I just want to tie this back to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. The fact that this is all unfolding down in Broward County, her district, is a wonderful exclamation point to this ridiculous story, because you'll recall that Debbie Wasserman Schultz stacked the deck and stole the nomination from Bernie and had to resign in disgrace as the head or the chair of the Democratic Party. And then we had the Seth Rich emails that they tried to blame on the Russians, the WikiLeaks emails that opened up this can of worms about Comet Ping Pong and spirit cooking and pedophilia and all of it. You'll recall that Sean Lucas served the DNC with papers to dig into what really happened. And then he turned up dead, 30 days later? Yeah. And then Seth Rich turned up dead. They say that it was just a botched robbery. And yet we have Podesta's email saying, we should make an example of the leaker. I'm all for making an example of the leaker. So what I want to tell people, and I want to remind people, is that when attorneys Elizabeth and Jared Beck started to dig into that DNC lawsuit and pursue it in a court of law, Jared Beck tweeted, if the DNC fraud lawsuit proceeds, DNC employee Seth Rich would have been a potential witness. One reason why I'm so concerned what happened to him. Stay with me, because here's where it gets good.
Yeah.
Elizabeth and Jared Beck started to receive harassing phone calls. And Elizabeth Beck tweeted, our co-counsel, Cullen O'Brien, is now getting anonymous callers talking about Cullen's family and how federal prosecutor Branton Wisenot washed up dead on Hollywood Beach, same county as Cullen. We are sitting ducks. And then here is the bombshell. 4:54 p.m., June 1st, U.S. Representative. Here's the phone number, 305-936-5724. Elizabeth Beck was able to do a screen grab of one of these harassing phone calls that came into her office, and the person was using a voice disguise. And guess what, folks? It was Wasserman Schultz's own office.
She's so ridiculous.
She's a hardcore criminal. So the fact that one of these people that ought to be indicted for their hardcore crimes, maybe including ordering the murder of Seth Rich, among so many other hardcore crimes, is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she's supposed to be one of these empathetic figures that CNN is crowing about all day long. Meanwhile, how about this character that they've arrested? Caesar Sayek. Paul Joseph Watson tweeted this. The alleged mail bomber had Trump stickers all over his vehicle, but on Twitter, he only follows 32 people, many of whom are left-wingers like Lena Dunham, Barack Obama, and Jimmy Kimmel. What gives?
But that's where it's, I can't believe they're that stupid. Like, they couldn't take the time to go into his Twitter account and follow, people like us. Like, they're so sloppy. It's mind-blowing to me that they're this incompetent, that they're this sloppy, that they're this stupid, I'm looking at his picture right now. I have Fox News in the background, which sometimes is super fake and sometimes puts out decent stuff. But anyways, I'm looking at a picture of him right now, and he has the bug eyes. And many of these patsies have bug eyes because they are under mind control. A lot of, you'll notice that the school shooters and a lot of these patsies, their eyes are popping out of their head. That is a sign that they are possibly under MK Ultra mind control or some form of mind control. It never fails, Sean. Every single time we have a false flag, the person that's involved, bug eyes.
But isn't it funny too that this person they've arrested is a caricature of a Trump supporter? Look at the rallies, and what do you see? You see people from all walks of life and all colors of the spectrum. We see black folks, we see white folks, we see some Hispanic folks, we see men and women, but mainly what we see is patriotism shining through. Trump just said that he's a nationalist. I don't know if you heard that the other day. He used the N-word. He's a nationalist, which stands in stark opposition to George Soros and his criminal offspring, Alexander Soros, and their family politics and their agenda, which is to wreck our sovereignty and open our borders and usher in this globalism and this one world government, new world order. Trump stands in opposition to that. But the point is that this quote-unquote Trump supporter they've arrested is a caricature of a real Trump supporter, because all Trump supporters want is truth and justice and make this country decent again and disarm the globalists. That's all they want. We don't want pipe bombs sent to anybody. We want indictments sent to these people.
Exactly. I just went to one of the Trump rallies in Las Vegas, and the White House cleared me as press. Thank you very much, President Trump and your press team. But I really didn't like standing with all those other fake reporters. But
no, that's cool, though. That's cool. You're officially credentialed. Good.
It was amazing. And let me tell you, Sean, I've gone to a few Trump rallies, and it is, when President Trump says that there's no place more fun than a Trump rally, he is spot on. They are so fun. Everyone there is so nice. There's so much love. There's no violence. There's no animosity. It's just love, and everyone's just patriotic, and they love their country, and they're happy to be there, and they're open to receive anyone in this movement. And it truly is the most amazing place to be. I highly encourage anyone to get to a Trump rally if they can. But just to get back to Seth Rich, you were talking about Seth Rich. and how people involved in investigating Seth Rich's murder have been unfortunately killed. And I want to tell you from my own personal experience, I covered Seth Rich's murder. I don't know if it was last summer or 2 summers. It was actually, I think it was last summer. And yeah, it was last summer, last May. And I broke some really good stories about Seth Rich's murder, basically around the fact that the police did not investigate the murder. And I worked for WorldNet Daily at the time, and here's one of the stories that I did. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the headline is, Investigator, Cops Hid Evidence, Halted Seth Rich Probe. I was breaking really good stories on Seth Rich's murder for WorldNet Daily. And Sean, out of nowhere, I get a phone call from one of the editors there, and she said, sorry, you can't work for us anymore. I'm not allowed to tell you why, and never contact us again.
Nice.
And let me tell you, I also was working for the New York Observer, and I had all this information, good information on the truth in terms of what happened with Seth Rich's murder. And the editor-in-chief at the time at the New York Observer, and I'd already broken a lot of really good stories that went viral for the New York Observer, and none of my stories have ever been challenged, by the way, legally, none of them. The editor-in-chief of the New York Observer told me, we don't want to touch that. We don't want to touch Seth Rich's murder, and we don't want to touch child sex trafficking in no way, shape, or form. They wouldn't even cover President Trump giving a press conference on child sex trafficking. Sean, that is when I walked away from the mainstream media. I was like, I want to have, WorldNet Daily basically fired me. So I broke a ton of stories that did really well and went viral for them on Seth Rich's murder. And someone got to them. Someone told them, put the kaput on it and told them to get rid of me. And to this day, they never even offered me an explanation as to why. So obviously something happened. Someone was threatened. But, I want people to understand this stuff is real. And when real journalists try to expose the corruption with the deep state, such as the child sex trafficking, Seth Rich's murders, we get harassed, we get intimidated. Some people are killed. My dog has been poisoned. You wouldn't believe the stuff that happens to people that try to expose the truth. And it's horrifying. But thankfully, we have good people in positions of power now. And I truly do believe that these mass arrests not only are going to happen, I believe they're going to happen very soon. I think they're going to happen in November of this year.
I hope so. It needs to happen. Here's the thing. We need a red wave, and that's what they're trying desperately to stop, because they know they have lost in the political town square. In the public square of ideas, they have lost, Liz. They have absolutely nothing left to sell to the American people aside from fear.
Barack Obama couldn't even get 2,000 people to attend his rally. President Trump gets over 100,000 people. It's remarkable. I don't know if you saw the footage and the photos from Barack Obama speaking the other day. I mean, it looked like there was less than 500 people there. I mean, Talk about how the mighty have fallen. People used to go out in droves to hear him speak. And he cannot fill a high school gym, just like Hillary when she was running in 2016. However, the mainstream media covered for her, and they literally would Photoshop photos of people to make her crowd look better.
Yeah, and they'd use long telephoto lenses, but then they'd zoom way in, so it looked like a larger crowd. And if you zoom that shot back, you'd see it's mostly an empty gymnasium. No, it is literally fake news, and that's what I love about this president. He takes his case to the American people via Twitter.
Exactly.
He's a transparent president to that degree. Exactly. And he has identified the enemies, and that's what's so incredible about this false flag, because that's exactly what it is. I think this was manufactured by his very enemies to try to garner sympathy for them. It's totally fine. We'll keep going. And the fact of the matter is that these are the same people, the people that receive these quote-unquote pipe bombs. I call them prop bombs, Liz. These are the same exact people who are the enemies of Trump and the people. And so when we talk about these rallies where so many people show up to see him and nobody wants to show up to see Hillary or Obama, it's because the cause of liberty is so inspirational. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution, a return to the rule of law, Actually, having the potential to see bad guys punished for their treason and sedition is inspiring. And that's why these people have stooped to this level, because they have no cards left to play other than fear and loathing and false flags.
Exactly. And, but people message me every day, are the arrests really going to happen? Are the arrests really going to? Yes, they're going to happen. President Trump is a man of honor, and he is a man of his word. All right. He promised to put her in jail. He promised to go after these criminals. This man will keep his word. Mark my word. I know these mass arrests are going to happen. And it's no coincidence that the people that are getting these fake bombs and this false flag are the top tier criminals. Joe M, our friend Joe M on Twitter, he talks about how all of this is going to unfold. And he says that there's different levels of criminals. The top tier criminals are the ones that are involved in treason and child sex trafficking. So when Q says no deals, he's referring to top tier criminals. Now, there's a lot of people that have been involved in criminality and are tied to the swamp. But some of these people are not necessarily pedophiles or trafficking children. They have simply been blackmailed and their hands are tied, and they've been tied to these crimes, but in a much lower level way. So I believe that those people will either get deals or they will be tried through our judicial system here. But the top tier criminals will get no deals and they will be tried in military tribunals. So it's no coincidence that the ones getting the bombs are tied to the child sex trafficking. So we have Hillary Clinton, George Soros, Barack Obama, and Tom Steyer, who we just heard about today. These people are all involved in child sex trafficking. Barack Obama, remember from the Podesta emails, $65,000 worth of hot dogs sent to the White House for one of his events. Outside food is not allowed in the White House, and how could anyone order $65,000 worth of hot dogs? Furthermore, we know hot dog is a pedophile code word. Then you have the Tom Steyer guy. This is the guy that has been attacking Trump relentlessly. He's a billionaire. He's been spending so much of his money to try to get President Trump impeached. Why? Why? What has President Trump done? What is he guilty of? He is guilty of absolutely nothing. So why are they trying so hard to take President Trump down? Because Tom Steyer is tied to child sex trafficking and Pizzagate. He is in the Podesta emails talking about walnut sauce. Walnut sauce is another pedophile code word. So it's no surprise that all these people that are getting bombs are tied to child sex trafficking. One more thing, I just remembered. Who else received a bomb the other day? Robert De Niro, Robert De Zero. Guess what? He was a client of a prostitution ring that used children. They're all connected.
We can't make this stuff up.
You can't make it up. But every single one of them is tied to child sex trafficking. They are involved in crimes against children. And I can't emphasize this enough. And I don't just talk about this because this is my number one passion. It is my number one passion. But I talk about it because it's true. Everything goes back to the child sex trafficking. Everything goes back to Pizzagate, period.
I want to say something really important to back up what you said about arrests of these high-level criminals. Anybody that doubts that it's possible needs to remember that in March of this year, the French arrested their ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy for taking bribes from Gaddafi. And I tweeted around that time, if the French can man up and do what they need to do to punish high-level criminals in their own government, then why in the heck can't we Americans do the same? Hillary Clinton should be arrested for that and so much more. She's directly responsible for the murder of Gaddafi, which she then bragged about.
We came, we saw, he died.
So anyway, the French, if they can arrest Nicolas Sarkozy for his crimes, don't doubt for a second, folks, that we can do the same thing here with an honest man sitting in the White House. And the last thing I want to say, Liz, is that Hillary and her cohorts can't stack the deck anymore because she's not in the White House fixing everything for them. That's why they are in such a damn panic.
Right. And I will add that there's been multiple former presidents that have been arrested in the past year. I believe there's been at least 7. The number could be bigger. in addition to that, I want to remind people, when Q first came on the scene, and this is what sold Q to me, this is when I first realized Q 100% was legit, is not a LARP, is the real deal, and is tied to President Trump. When Q first came on the scene, one of the first things that Q talked about and addressed was the corrupt royal Saudi family that was involved in child sex trafficking, funding our corrupt politicians like No Name, John McCain, and Hillary Clinton. All right? Q talked about the corrupt royal family and that they would be taken down. After Q talked about this, at least 30 members of the Saudi royal family were arrested. What people don't understand, Sean, is that last summer, when President Trump went to Saudi Arabia, I don't know if you watched it live, but it was amazing. I worked in the White House when I was 20 years old. So I have paid very close attention to the presidency, the president, and foreign trips and stuff like that, because I used to work in the White House, all right? When President Trump went to Saudi Arabia, I have never seen them greet a foreign leader or the president of the United States or any country give such an elaborate and warm welcome as King Salman did for President Trump. And it all unfolded live. It was in the middle of the night, and I actually believe even CNN covered it live. They did all these ceremonies, and then they did a dance with swords. And in my head, I was thinking, what the heck is going on? There's something we don't know about extra special that's going on with this, because this is very elaborate and out of the ordinary. Well, we now know that President Trump made a deal with King Salman, and he promised to, I think trade one of their companies on the New York Stock Exchange if they agreed to take down these corrupt members of the Saudi family that were funding our corrupt politicians like Hillary Clinton and John McCain.
And CNN.
And yeah, right. And Fox News and Twitter. Prince Talal was one of them, and he is one of the biggest shareholders in not only Twitter, but Fox News too. So if anyone has ever wondered why Fox News covered up Pizzagate, there's your answer. President Trump made a deal with King Salman. And right after King Salman arrested these corrupt royal family members, President Trump tweeted the next day saying that they would, allow them to have their company on the New York Stock Exchange. And Q talked about this, and Q predicted this. And to me, that's when I was sold on Q. That's when I knew that Q was the real deal. Now, the reason why this happened is because the Saudi royal family is at the top of the food chain in terms of the elite pedophile rings and the child sex trafficking rings. So they had to go first. And so that's why they were arrested a year ago. President Trump has been planning this for a very long time. He made a deal with King Salman for these Saudi royal family members to be arrested so it could trickle down to the lower level people involved in the child sex trafficking. And that involves many people, including all the people who have received bombs. So those members of the royal family have been arrested, and we are very close to that day when we're going to see the people in our country who have been tied to the child sex trafficking and or involved in it get their justice.
From your lips to God's ears, my friend. I feel it coming. Look, the bottom line here is that there has been a sea change, and everybody can feel it. And the power that the deep state once wielded of total propaganda equals total control no longer works. Honestly, I've never seen a more worn out playbook than what these people are using. And I'll leave people with this. This is a tweet a couple hours ago from Red Wave Surfer, who writes, a retired postal worker just called into a radio show and stated the following: the United States Postal Service does not deliver to the homes of anyone under Secret Service protection like former Presidents Clinton and Obama. All mail addressed to their residence is delivered to the Secret Service field office. Therefore, the reports that bombs were delivered to the homes of 2 former presidents is an absolute lie. That is all. Carry on. And then Bill Mitchell tweeted this.
Love him.
Wait, let's see. Bombs sent in envelopes creating maximum suspicion because they look and feel like bombs. You send them from the same district you are actually in. Your van is covered in Trump stickers to the point of being ridiculous. This guy wanted to be caught. CNN is going to parrot this to the American people as though it's real, just like a CSI episode. And these people who watch CSI will believe it's real when the whole thing is manufactured. It's literally propaganda.
It's a movie. It's a show. Well, thank God for people like you. And you know what? Your YouTube channel is doing fantastic and you get so many views. It's so impressive. You have more viewers, I'm sure, than most of the people at CNN do.
God bless those that watch the content and share it with others. All we're trying to do, Liz, you and me, is stand in stark opposition to the propagandists. And that's why my site, SGT Report, the slogan is the antidote to corporate propaganda. When I say that, I'm talking about the corporate media, the propagandists that have taken control of this nation and are now in a panic because they are losing their iron-fisted grip of propagandist control. That's the best news. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. And tell people how they can follow you, your websites. You're one of the best Twitter people out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. My website's lizcrokin.com. My name, LIZCROKIN.com. But I don't really write articles there anymore. I just post on social media. I find it more effective. And people are kind of lazy these days. They don't click on links anymore. So I just do my Twitter, at Liz Crokin, Instagram, at Liz Crokin. I'm on Facebook, the only Liz Crokin that I know of on Facebook. And then I have a YouTube channel that's my name, Liz Crokin. So.
All right. Well, God bless you. And you are one tough woman. We love you. And good luck with your hand. I'm so sorry that happened. That's a bummer.
Hopefully next time we talk, I will have fingernails.
Good.
That's the goal.
Oh, good. All right. A little reconstructive surgery is in order there?
I'm looking into it. They need to fully heal before I can get plastic surgery. So there's some doctors that there's stuff that they can do. So I'm going to figure this out, Sean.
All right. Well, we're there to support you. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help, GoFundMe or anything for medical bills, whatever we can do to help you. We're all ready to pitch in to help you, Liz, because you're one of the truth tellers we love.
I love you too.
All right. And God bless you. Thank you for your time. All right. Thanks for helping me break this down in real time. And guys, thank you so much for your support. You know how much we love you. A special thanks to my Patreons. You're making a huge difference for me and my little team. And thanks to everybody for sharing this in social media. Get the word out. Get the truth out. This truly is the truth and the antidote to CNN's endless lies. God bless you guys. Thanks for visiting us for Real News 24/7 at sgtreport.com. Bye-bye.
You're going to see arrests, and then you're going to see indictments. And then you're going to see convictions. And in the words of the fictitious Jack Valentine from the old Nicolas Cage movie, Lord of War, some of them are going to spend the next 10 years just going from their cell to the courtroom before they're ever tried and convicted, which they will be. They are scared to death.